I'm gonna make a big load of meatballs. They're all-purpose meatballs. My family loves them, and I keep them in bags in the freezer and then just throw them into whatever sauce I want. Now it starts with 5 pounds of ground beef, and I'll add a cup and a half of breadcrumbs. You can use plain breadcrumbs, seasoned breadcrumbs, panko, anything you have on hand. And then this is a lot of ground beef, so I'll add a good amount of salt and pepper. I'm gonna really season them up. And then of course I love a little spice with pretty much everything I cook. So I'll add some crushed red pepper flakes. Now I also like to add a couple of heaping tablespoons of really grainy mustard. It gives the meatballs such a great flavor. Now I'll splash a little bit of whole milk in, about a half a cup or so. The breadcrumbs will soak it up and it'll give the meatballs just a wonderful moisture. And then I never ever pass up the opportunity to add a good splash of heavy cream. Talk about richness, wow. Doesn't take a lot, a little goes a long way. Now I'm gonna add some green to the mix. I'll grab a bunch of parsley and I'll chop it up. It'll add great color and flavor to the meatballs. I tell you what, freezer food is my life. If we're having a really busy day or I'm running late, I just have to pop it in the oven and we're good to go. Okay, that should be enough parsley. So I'll sprinkle that in. And then I also have 4 eggs, already cracked them, so those go right in. Now that is one beautiful meatball mixture. I'm just gonna go on in with my hands and squish it all together. Sometimes I love to do this, sometimes I just think, oh, it's a necessary evil. If you used a spoon to mix this together, it would take you approximately 4 months to get it all mixed. Okay, that's about as mixed together as it's gonna get. Now I use a scoop to roll out the meatballs. That way every meatball is about the same size. Just roll it between my hands. This mixture is actually gonna make 125 meatballs. That is a lot. I'll put them on these trays and I'll freeze them briefly before I brown them in a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier that way. Now, the meatballs have frozen for just a little bit, just enough to firm them up, and I'm gonna get them into the pot in batches and start frying them up. The meatballs are fully cooked when they go into the freezer. That way I just whip up a sauce, throw in the cooked meatballs, and as soon as they're warm, it's time to eat. These meatballs could not be more versatile. They basically go with everything. I tell you what, I can just taste all those different sauces I make. Each one is as delicious as the next. One of my favorites is a classic barbecue sauce. It goes so well with the meatballs and is great with stovetop mashed potatoes. And I love a dish of Swedish meatballs served with noodles and a sprinkling of parsley. It'd be hard for me to pick my favorite sauce for these meatballs, but sweet and sour sauce is definitely up there. It's a great sweet, sticky concoction with pineapple juice, sugar, and spicy sauces. I throw in frozen meatballs, some pineapple chunks right at the end, and then serve it up over rice with a sprinkling of sliced green onion. All of those sauces are so quick and easy, and they're absolutely perfect for a busy day. Okay, I got all the meatballs cooked. Now I'm just gonna let them cool down, and then I'll flash freeze them for a little bit, and that'll make it easier to bag them up. These meatballs are gonna make me one popular mama.
To get started on the balls, I've got half a pound each of ground beef and ground pork, and then I'll sprinkle in 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs, 1/3 of a cup of milk, and 1 lightly beaten egg. And the combination of the egg and the milk and the breadcrumbs will help the meatballs bind together and then also contribute moisture. I'll season with a teaspoon of kosher salt and black pepper, and then nutmeg, ginger, and allspice, which is a delicious warm combination. A couple of tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce for some dark depth, and then half a yellow onion, finely chopped, and a couple of garlic cloves that I've softened in some oil. I've got a baking sheet here lined with parchment, and my scoop. I'll have that standing by while I mix up my meatball mixture. I'll just get in here with my hands. Okay, I've got my scoop here to make them all uniformly sized. This is about a tablespoon-sized scoop. I'll get this on, and then I'll keep on rolling, and these will bake at 425 for 10 minutes while I make my gravy. This gravy is rich and decadent, and it coats the balls just perfectly. I'll start with 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'll combine it with 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So the butter and the flour will make a roux, and that's what will thicken my stock. And then add a bit of allspice, some thyme leaves. I'll strip these right off the stem. And then a dollop of mustard. I think the zinginess from the Dijon kind of helps balance out all the richness. I'll gradually whisk in now 2 cups of low-sodium beef stock. And as it combines with the roux, it'll thicken up. So I'll whisk constantly so that the roux gets incorporated smoothly with the stock. I'll amp up the richness with half a cup of heavy cream, a couple of shakes of Worcestershire sauce. We'll add that great depth. I'll let this bubble for a few minutes now so that it thickens up. I'll get them right into the braiser. I'm getting excited. Gravy looks good on these. I'll plate them up. Oh yeah, look at how creamy that is. Sprinkle on some fresh parsley. Get the necessary lingonberry sauce. Lingonberry sauce is tart. It's a little bit like cranberry sauce, and you've got to have it with a Swedish meatball. That's perfect bite. That is so good.
I am making Italian meatballs.
Oh, I'm gonna get one of those.
In vodka sauce.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I'm sorry, Sonny, yours is easy. I think mine is easier because there's no chopping involved. You have to chop your herbs. Jeffrey's looking at this. It's not eggs. These are fresh meatballs available in your, refrigerated section now at your grocery store.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
fresh,
that, yeah.
pre-made meatballs ready to go. So what we're gonna do is sear these off in a pan, okay? We're gonna bring it to low, and we're gonna make now our sauce. It's a vodka sauce. This could not be any easier. Taking your favorite jar of pre-made tomato sauce. I know, people in my family are rolling in their graves right now, but they make some really good jar sauce right now.
They do,
Real
yeah.
fresh, really just vibrant and beautiful.
It's not like it used to be.
Next, we're gonna take some cream.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy whipping cream in there to make it a creamy sauce. We're gonna whisk this around, right? And I'm gonna take these meatballs, right? See how easy this is? Because it's just 2 ingredients thus far.
Where's the vodka?
The vodka is coming. I'm gonna take these meatballs, right? And I'm just gonna literally dump them all. Look at that. Look how crispy we got on there, right? Again, you can use the frozen meatballs, but I think this adds so much flavor, just caramelizing the exterior.
Wow.
Frying them up.
Little shade.
Hating.
Just a little bit of that fat. Oh, what are we gonna do with all that crispy bit fond on the bottom?
You're gonna flambe.
We're gonna deglaze
Oh.
with that, right?
See, that's not easy. You doing a whole lot of steaming up. Now I gotta turn on the vent over the stove.
And the vodka not only gives it flavor and body and everything, that kind of like potato-y type of flavor, but also helps emulsify the tomato and the fat and the cream together as one. Wow. Otherwise, you get separation, right? It'll cook in there. We're gonna...
How long, Jeff?
So this is going on high, 2 to 4 hours till it's all kind of together and wonderful. And look at that, give it a little stir before you put...
It smells amazing.
It is like, right, that vodka sauce. Yeah. And how easy was that? 3 ingredients only. I got one ready to go here. Let me see, this one is gonna be legendary.
Oh. Do I taste this one too, or Katie gets it?
No, Katie gets to take that, but look at that.
Step back.
Come on.
Look at it. It's like a very pretty blush, right? Look at that. Give it a little stir before you serve it, right? There we go.
Yeah, because I want a lot of sauce in there.
There's a restaurant downtown that has a great
Oh, that looks
vodka
good,
sauce.
Jeff. Okay.
Look at
Big old
that.
piece of basil on it.
Look at
Yup.
it. And I'm gonna get dainty. Daddy's getting dainty here. We're just throwing a little piece of baby basil on top of each one of these. Then, of course, a little,
Parm me up.
little fresh parm. And don't forget your toothpicks.
So much work.
How dare you? These were so easy. You're gonna make these so much more
Really good.
quicker and frequently than Sonny's.
Listen, I think we've all had the meatballs at some place, right? This is good if you're gonna do like a meatball bar, man. Just a couple of flavors, something familiar.
Jeff, I love the creaminess and that tomato sauce and the vodka. It's there, but it's not overpowering.
I have 2 stalks of celery, half of a green bell pepper, and half of this onion. If you don't have a food processor, just mince it up really finely with your knife. That looks good. I'm gonna also grab my spices and breadcrumbs. I got 2 pounds of ground chicken. I'm gonna add my veggies. I'm just gonna use a little bit of my house seasoning. I'd say about that. 1 cup breadcrumbs. These are unseasoned. Let me just mix this up a little bit first. Okay. Just wanna lightly beat 2 eggs together. This is gonna help bind that chicken together along with the breadcrumbs. Okay, I'm just making sure it's nice and mixed. All right, so I got 2 sheet pans here that I have sprayed with non-stick cooking spray. It's gonna help the meatballs, of course, not stick to the pan, but also it's gonna give it a little crunchy, little texture to it. All right, let me wash my hands. All right, so I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I'm gonna bake these chicken meatballs for about 20 to 25 minutes or until it's like golden brown. Now I'm gonna make my very simple buffalo sauce. Got a saucepan here. I wanna add a stick of unsalted butter. If you want it a little less spicy, use more butter. I'm gonna use some hot sauce. I'm using this entire bottle because I wanna drizzle this sauce on top, and I also wanna have a little extra sauce on the side. And I'd say about a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce. Add this to your buffalo sauce, and I promise you, you'll never go back to just eating butter and buffalo sauce. Add the Worcestershire, and it's gonna take it up. Get that distinct color. I like to taste it, see if I need to add a little bit more of that Worcestershire sauce. Oh, that's good, it's tangy. Not too spicy in my opinion. I think the adults are gonna love it, and it's gonna taste so good once I toss the meatballs in it.
It's not much to look at, but I just want you to see the meatballs in their inception. All right, and I've got some grated celery. It goes in, along with some grated onion. And they're grated because then they won't interfere with the texture of the turkey. Some minced garlic, along with salt and pepper. So I'm just kind of smushing up this whole mixture, making sure the celery and the onion totally get distributed. Okay, this is all mixed together. Get rid of the turkey spoon. So now I'm gonna use a scoop, just to scoop the meatballs. You can use your hands and form them individually one by one, but we don't have time for that. Okay, and I'm doing it on a foil-lined pan, okay? So that is 1 scoop, and I have about 2,423 to go. Just kidding, 44 more to go. Okay, got them all scooped. We'll get rid of that bowl and pretend that never happened. So come to the oven page, and I'm gonna bake the meatballs at 425 degrees. They're just gonna take about 15 to 17 minutes, which is great. And so while they bake, I'm gonna make the spicy mango barbecue sauce, and it is so very, very simple. Just a few ingredients. Barbecue sauce. In order to make barbecue sauce, you have to start with some barbecue sauce, about 1 cup. But what I like about kind of doctored up barbecue sauce is you can use your own favorite as a base, and then you can doctor it up with anything you want. So I've got some agave, and this is just kind of an alternative to honey, since there's habaneros in here. Just squirting in probably 3/4 cup, and then some water, and soy sauce, about 1/4 cup. So this has got a lot of different flavors going on. So this is spicy mango barbecue sauce. So for the spice, habanero. That'll put some hair on your chest right there. And some mango. You can use fresh mango or the stuff in the jar. Okay, so I'm gonna turn up the heat and bring this to a boil, and then I'll turn the heat down and let it simmer for 10 minutes, and by that time, the meatballs will be ready. The sauce, look. See those chunks of mango? Aren't they beautiful? Well, say goodbye to them, because I'm gonna puree the sauce right in the pan with my immersion blender. It's good to use an immersion blender because that way you don't have to transfer the sauce to a blender, which can be pretty perilous when the sauce is hot. All right, So back to the meatballs. I actually took them out of the oven and look at how great they look. They almost, I mean, they're kind of a dead ringer for beef meatballs at this point. It's hard to tell that they're not. So this is how I like to toss. I knew that was gonna happen. This is how I like to toss the meatballs. Get the foil out of there. And then grab this luscious sauce and pour it over. Hello.
Stu is gonna pass
Oh
away.
my gosh.
Stuart is over there like,
Let me in there.
if Stu were an emoji, he'd be the heart eye emoji right now.
I can't wait.
And then just toss them on the pan, and then you don't have to mess with a whole separate bowl. You have fewer dishes, which is good because that game's getting ready to start on TV. And then I like to serve them on sort of a deep-rimmed bowl. I'm sorry, a deep-rimmed platter. And let's see if Bree can get this done without completely destroying the kitchen. What do you think, guys?
Oh, great form. Couldn't have done it better myself.
Okay, and then I've got some sliced green onions, just to make them extra flavorful and pretty. And then serve them with toothpicks. Talk about a platter full of wonderfulness. Spicy mango barbecue meatballs. I think I owe it to you to try one. Oh my gosh. They're so spicy.
These meatballs have infinite amounts of flavor. To get started on my meatballs, I've got 1.5 pounds of ground chicken here. I'll start with 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder. So these meatballs are my version of Shanghainese lion's head meatballs, and they're typically braised with some type of green vegetable to look like the lion's mane. Usually they're made with ground pork, but I typically make them with ground chicken just to lighten them up a bit. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch is gonna help the meatballs bind together and then also give them a nice firm texture. 1 tablespoon of sambal oelek, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce. 2 stalks of scallions, finely sliced, 2 teaspoons of finely grated fresh ginger. I'll also grate in 2 cloves of garlic. 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs is gonna help bind these meatballs together. 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of unsweetened rice vinegar to get some acidity in here. 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. I do not leave any flavors out of these meatballs. Everybody is invited to this meatball party. And lastly, an egg to help hold everything together. Yum. I am going to eyeball these into 6 equal portions to make 6 great big balls. These look good. Before I get cooking these, I'll dust them on the outside with some cornstarch, and that's gonna help give the meatballs a crisp shell. I've got 1/2 inch of neutral oil heating in my brazier. This is an oven-safe pot so that I'll be able to transfer it to the oven. I'll space them out evenly. I can smell them already. These will go for a few minutes until they're golden brown on the bottom, and then I'll flip them over and get them crisp on the other side. Oh yeah, hello. Now that these are golden on both sides, I'll transfer them back to my original plate. It smells too good in here. I'll remove this from the heat, drain off all of the oil while I get my cabbage and braising liquid ready. I've got 2 cups of low sodium chicken stock. Without the braising liquid, they could dry out. No dry meatballs are allowed on this farm. 3 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 1 tablespoon of sambal oelek. This is just chilies, some salt, and some vinegar. I'll get this combined. I'll assemble this all into my brazier. I'll nestle in some Napa cabbage here, cut into wedges. I'll distribute the meatballs evenly between the Napa cabbage wedges. This is all just gonna cook together and get so tasty. I'll lay some of the outer leaves of the cabbage on top. And I'll bring this braising liquid to a boil and then cover it up and stick it in the oven at 350 degrees for an hour. It feels like a long time, but it's gonna be so worth it. These smells have been haunting me. I am ready for this. Dang, it's smells good. I'll garnish with some scallions for a pop of bright greenery. And I'm gonna go in. I can feel how tender they are. Oh yeah. I'm getting that ginger and the sweetness from the hoisin. Every single one of my taste buds are satisfied with these meatballs.
Buffalo chicken meatballs. So I've got ground chicken, which is sold in the supermarket. I'm just gonna add a bunch of things to it. So 1 egg, breadcrumbs. You can do seasoned, but these are plain. I added salt and pepper. And then I've got really little bits of celery, which of course is always served with buffalo chicken. Garlic, of course. And then the white parts of green onions, sliced really thin, Louisiana hot sauce. So look, this did not take long at all to kind of mix together. It's a little bit more tender than ground beef, so it all really stirs together easily. Okay, really good. So I'm gonna use my trusty scoop, and I'm gonna get about 28 to 30 meatballs out of it. I'll roll them up and put them on the sheet pan. So these are gonna bake at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes until they're totally done. All right, I'm gonna make a sauce. So that is nothing more than butter and more Louisiana hot sauce. So I've got the skillet on medium high, and I'm just gonna cook this until the butter is melted, the sauce is bubbling, and everything just looks orange and wonderful. Okay, so this would be a wonderful time to go grab the meatballs out of the oven. Now I'm just gonna scrape them off of the sheet pan and get them into the sauce. Make sure the sauce is still bubbling. All righty, now I'm gonna turn the heat off of the sauce and then look. Just stir them around and get them totally coated. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Delicious, they look amazing. So to serve these, I'm just gonna pile them in the middle of a platter. I love things like this, just saucy and messy and wonderful. Okay, so celery sticks, and then gorgonzola cheese, and then some celery leaves, and a little thing of toothpicks. And then I cannot let this sauce go to waste. I have to pour some more on.
Actually, a beautiful platter.
It is fun. Just serve this to friends, serve it to your kids, serve it to yourself.
Turkey meatballs with fire-roasted green chilies. He's working on some peppers right now, roasting them on the oven, sweated them off, skinning them, and now that's gonna get ready for the meatball. Dusky Estes is gonna measure something?
I know, can I just
Okay, you're good on that, G. You're good. There you go. Drop all that in there.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm awesome. I'm ready for panko.
Okay.
And,
So a cup of panko.
Okay.
Mix that in. So we're making the panade and seasoning all those breadcrumbs. So the breadcrumbs are going to soak up all of that great milk and the egg, which will be working as the binder. And then we'll add the meat. Because you know sometimes, you get this, guys, when you'll mix up a meatball too much, Aaron, you mix it up so much, and then when it cooks, it's so dense that it's dried. When it cooks, it pushes all the fat out.
You want that good texture. I know exactly what you mean.
Just kind of put it together enough that it'll stay together on the sheet tray, is what we're trying to achieve. Okay, you got that? You can break them yolks?
Yes, sir.
You got salt in there?
Yes, I do. Ready.
Okay, so we sweated some peppers. Which one did you do, G? You did Hatch,
Yes.
Anaheim,
Poblano.
and Serrano and Poblano.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all of those came together, sweated them. Bo did some onions for him. Drop it in. Now we're going in with some turkey. G eats all healthy and everything. Look at this. The other half of G disappeared. How are the meatballs? Look at this.
Meatballs.
Huh?
Meatballs, baby.
Okay, let these guys go. Are you going meatballs in?
Meatballs in, baby.
Meatballs in. So Mauro's going to take a back seat. Meatballs are going to go deep.
I mean, look at that.
Fantastic. G's working. How are we looking?
Awesome. Almost ready.
Working some turkey meatballs.
I'm
Let me see this.
actually bringing these out. Right behind. Hot behind.
Okay. Meatballs. Give me the breakdown, buddy. What do you think?
Unbelievable.
G, I like them. That's a great looking meatball. A lot of pepper in there, roasted peppers. I'm just gonna, they're done, but we're just gonna hold them hot.
Yeah. Tasty.
G's all into healthy. Look at him. There was another half of G before, but now he's all lean and mean.
I started by adding a whole jar of arrabbiata sauce to an iron skillet, and this is incredibly spicy. So to add to the spice, I'm gonna add several peppers from a jar of hot cherry peppers. And then I'll kind of shake just to spread everything out. So see what we got going on here, Paige? And I'm not gonna mix the peppers in. I want them to stay on top. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell everybody about this amazing new thing I discovered in supermarkets. And they are actually formed meatballs and they're not frozen.
Wow.
Whoa.
Blew my mind when I knew these existed. When you're looking for a really fast, family-friendly recipe, these are awesome. And then if you're a crafty kind of parent, you can wash this in soapy water and use it for a craft. I am not a crafty parent. So I am going to put these in the oven and I'm gonna bake them at 425 degrees for about 18 to 20 minutes until the meatballs are sizzly, and then I'll show you how we finish these up.
Yum.
Look at, how amazing do those look? Oh, they smell fantastic. I can actually smell the spice. I can smell the heat.
Oh, goodness.
I have a sense. So I'm gonna bump it up by putting even more crushed red peppers all over. The spice just kind of sends me into a tizzy. So there's a second stage of baking, and I'm gonna put little discs of mozzarella
Yum.
on top of each meatball. Don't worry if some of them fall.
They're like hats.
Yeah, they are. Little hats of mozzarella, as Mauricio said. So now I'm just gonna take this and stick it under the broiler until the cheese is melted. It's gonna take about 3 minutes. Remember those cute little top hats? Well, now they're like sun hats. They have cute little brims. Oh, this looks amazing. So I'm gonna top with some basil. Now I'm gonna show you how to serve this. Gotta get a spoon. Yes, look, Alex, come watch. Which one should I get?
That one is beautiful.
How about this one? Look, look at that spicy pepper that came out with it. Oh my. They almost look like little fried eggs because of that mozzarella. And then just a hunk of bread to kind of sop up the sauce. And I have just a simple green salad, nothing fancy. Oh, spicy, baked, cheesy meatballs. I think that's what we call it. I have to taste this. I have to see if the spice is all there. Oh boy, it's hot, spice aside. Wow.
So I'm making roasted meatballs. First thing I have is half a pound of ground sirloin, a quarter of a pound of ground pork, and a quarter of a pound of ground veal. And then I'm gonna add lots of delicious things. So next, 1 cup of breadcrumbs, dried breadcrumbs, quarter of a cup of ground Parmesan cheese, quarter of a cup of ground pecorino. I actually combine the two because the Parmesan has a very different flavor from the pecorino and I like them. You can use one or the other if you like, but I like both together. 1 beaten egg. I like meatballs with lots of flavor, so there are a lot of ingredients in this. 1 clove of garlic, minced. Can't have meatballs without garlic. 1 tablespoon of chopped parsley. 1 teaspoon of salt. There's a secret to these meatballs. Half a teaspoon of pepper, and that is that I'm not gonna fry them, I'm gonna roast them. So much better, so much easier. Half a cup of water. Wanna make sure they're really moist. 1/3 of a cup of red wine. It should be Italian, right? This is a nice Tuscan Chianti. 1/3 of a cup. We can drink the rest. And then I'm just gonna mix this all up. But you wanna do it lightly. You don't want them to get like really dense. So I just do it with a fork, just kind of mix it together lightly. Okay, perfect. So this is what I use for scooping in an ice cream scoop, small one. So I'm just gonna do rounded scoops of meatballs. Just roll in my hands lightly, put them down. I'm just brushing the meatballs with oil, just so they brown nicely. So much easier than frying them. Okay, that's it. Into the oven, 400 degrees, 25 to 30 minutes. These are gonna be browned and delicious. I smell meatballs. These look gorgeous. So I'm just gonna take them and put them into the tomato sauce. I've got it simmering away here. You know, sometimes you have to make marinara sauce, and sometimes you just don't. So this is really good bottled marinara sauce. just gonna put the meatballs in. They're gonna simmer right for 10 minutes. I love when they simmer together. The meatball flavor gets into the marinara sauce, and the marinara sauce gets into the meatballs. Everybody's gonna be so happy. Almost ready for dinner. I'm just gonna put them in a dish, take them outside. So good. Nice thing about the meatballs is you can actually make them a day or two in advance and refrigerate them and just heat them up in the tomato sauce.